All right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? We would like to welcome you to our show on the Women to Women Network. We are six, seven women, one is not here, who have come together to have mature conversations for those who are Gen X. We're not excluding anybody, but we are really here for the Gen Xers, right? To have some mature conversations. And so I'm here with my beautiful co hosts. And tonight we're going to be talking about whether it is or not is too late. But before we get started, I want to first start out the way we normally start out is with everyone saying what they are grateful for. And I will start in the order that I see you, which is with Trey.
I am thankful for you guys, of course. I'm always thankful for you guys. And I'm just thankful for growth, elevation, just for God enlarging our territory and giving us more opportunities in 2022 than we could ever imagine. I'm just grateful for we had our meetup last night and we talked about our goals and we talked about what we accomplished from 2022 until December of 2022, going into 2023. And there was so much that we've accomplished this year. And I'm just grateful, thankful, and blessed that we've all made some great moves, leaps, and just really trusted God. And we are on our way into 2023 with our foot on the gas.
Yes. All right, Netta.
Good evening, everyone. I'm grateful to be here. That's the first thing that we made it. We're here to see each other another time. That's not always the promise, right? But we're here. Don't take it for granted. The one thing I would say I'm grateful for tonight is the promises of God and the assurity that I have in those promises. They're unwavering. Manifestation may not have happened yet, but it doesn't mean that it's not coming. So I'm grateful for that.
Regina.
Hi, good evening. I am grateful for waking up this morning, of course, and another day to begin. New beginnings is every day.
New beginnings. I love it.
Yes. Gina.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am grateful for a conversation I had yesterday that helped me refocus my vantage point.
Mm.
Sometimes, we get caught up in the things that we're experiencing, and we can sometimes forget where our power really comes from. So it was a really great conversation in that I reshifted to understand where my purpose was and not give power over to someone that doesn't really have power over me.
Amen.
Wow, nice.
So, yeah.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Netta, you kind of took part of what I was going to say, but I'm so grateful for what you're grateful for, and I'm grateful for God's grace and for you guys and our past coming together and what I've learned from each and every one of you thus far. I know there's much more to learn because we're ever growing and ever learning. And also that I kept most of my word that I gave last night at our meetup. I didn't go outside, but I did my live and I put the stuff that I said I was going to put in the box. It's in the box. Now the box needs to go in my car.
And so what am I grateful for? I am grateful for I think everything that all of you have said, right? Just another day to be here on earth for you guys, for another opportunity. I'm grateful for what's to come, right? I'm believing God for, bigger and better and so I'm just grateful that, I've learned how to give myself grace,
Yes.
right? And so that's what I'm grateful for, right? And so tonight, ladies, our conversation it comes from a conversation we ended with last night, right? Which is it's never too late, right? How we all in some shape, form, or fashion, right? Started out and I would say for me, speaking for myself, at the point I started out where I'm like, oh my God, why are you doing this now at 52 years old, right? And so it's really to talk about, is it really too late, right? And what our viewpoints are around that. And to start us off, it's funny because God always hears and then he adds something, right? And so today, so this little clip on Tamara Hall where she was talking to an 80-something-year-old woman.
Wow.
Who just started climbing mountains with her grandson. Right? And I'm listening and I'm like, and Tamara Hall is talking to her. It's like a little clip like on Instagram. And she's like, well, what made you start? And she was like, well, I was just sitting on my porch or whatever. Like I wasn't doing anything. And my grandson was like, you want to go with me to the mountain? And she said, let's go.
Wow.
Right. And so I said, okay, God, so you want us to continue this conversation because I truly do believe that, there's something that each of us will say tonight that will help somebody get unstuck.
Yes.
Right. And so my first question to each of you is, at the point that you got started, right, with whatever you're doing, right, becoming a coach, or, you made that decision that you were going to take that next step to do what you've been dreaming of, right? What did it feel like? Like, what made you say, okay, I'm going to go for this?
I'll start.
Go ahead, Netta.
The decision was made for me. God is a God of timing. His timing is perfect, even though it may not seem like it at the time. So what happened for me, the career that I had been in for 29 years ended, not because I chose it, but because our entire department was outsourced to another country. And I had already been doing some working with you all, personal growth and development, right? Mm-hmm. So again, he's so strategic and his timing is perfect. So I was already in the process of preparing for the next, even though I didn't know what it would look like. So just because you don't know what it looks like doesn't mean that you can't take steps. Sitting still is not growth. So anyway, I was working on some things in terms of becoming a coach and so forth. And when the job ended, I just dove in to what I was already starting to do. Was I afraid? Absolutely. Because, when it's the new, you don't know what's on the other side of it. But do you let that stop you? Absolutely not. Do it afraid is what we've heard. So that's what I have done and I continue to do. Growth is part of the process, and we know growth can be painful. It doesn't have to be, but it's definitely going to stretch you. And I believe this: if you have breath in your body, then there's a yes behind it.
Wow. That'll always go first and drop the mic.
Yep. So I'll go next. The one thing that I did was start the network, which was and still is a big leap because there are areas that I'm not familiar with. So it's still a growth and development process for me. So I am editor, I am producer, I am content creator, I am graphic designer, I am casting director. I am all of these things in this network, but I am releasing some things now. But it was very, very scary. And it took, and this is probably what happens for most of us. I'm not sure if it happened for you guys, but we spoke about this last night. And it took someone else saying, I won the award for the New You Nation Network, and they put the New You Nation, and it's right here.
Oh yeah, that is
right behind me. And they said Trey Kearney from the New You Nation Network, and I said, "Wow, it really is a network." But sometimes, you got to hear it, and then people started actually responding to that. But it was very scary to go from the familiar, like Netta said, because we get into a rut of being familiar, and then we get to a certain age where it's like, well, this is it for me, and I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. But for me, I know now it's never too late to start. I have a box of ideas, like I have a box in storage. It's just so much more to come because I love the music business. I have artists that I work with. I have songs that I wrote. All of that stuff is going to come into play because God is not going to waste one bit of our talent. He did all of this. It's so much stuff that's already done, and I didn't know why I was doing it. Even with the Men Hurt Too, right? So y'all see me sharing all these clips, and these clips are from 2 years ago, and I didn't know why I was doing. I was supposed to do Men Hurt Too for 4 weeks, right, in the month of March 2 years ago, to help women understand men. It was Women's History Month, and I said I'm going to interview 4 dudes and let them tell us what black men are thinking. And then it was 4, and then it was 6, then it was 8, then it was 12. Now I'm almost up to 60 men that I interview, but it's purposeful now because it's a show that's already developed on the New You Nation network. When back then I didn't know when I was doing it. So I would encourage people, like, if you're doing something, just keep doing it if God is telling you to do it. Even if you question it, like, God, I'm not doing Men Hurt Too anymore. And he said, yeah, you are. After 60 men, you're going to keep going. And now we're in a new season. So it was a little bit of fear and finally just walking into it. Just walking into it.
Gina?
Yes. So a couple of years ago, I told my daughter, my youngest one, I said, I'm, I'm doing my business. I'm starting, RH Unlimited, and I talked about wanting to, work with youth and empower youth and families and stuff. And she looked at me and she said, "Mommy, you too old for that now. Like, you're not gonna get a job." She said you're not gonna get a job. It was during COVID. It's the shutdown. And I said, yeah, I'll get a job to support my business. I said, but my goal and my long-term goal is my business. And she looked at me like I should have started before, right? So I said, I'm gonna teach this whippersnapper something. You know, Pookie didn't come out, but I had to sit down and think about what she thought of as being too late. So I said, wow, this is my daughter and I know she loves me and everything, but this is her perspective, right? That I was her thinking is, wow, people who started businesses in their 30s and stuff, like, you're over 50 and you talking about doing such and such. And I looked at her, and because I'm mature now and I'm older and I've really done some work, I realized that while it bothered me a little bit that she didn't see what God saw in me, that it was okay. And that sometimes it's people that are close to you that may not see all the gifts that you have inside, but it doesn't mean you stop.
Mm.
If anything, you have to have some understanding and empathy, to the point that it's not for them to see your vision. It's for you to see your vision, take it to the Father so that He can perfect it and make it great, and then listen for how you're supposed to execute, how you're supposed to strategize and create the plan. So when someone else doesn't agree or align with what your thoughts are, then maybe you don't need to talk to them. Maybe you need to talk internally and to the Father so that you can be clear on what you're supposed to do, because everyone can't be in that conversation. So, is it too late? No. As a matter of fact, I'm starting where I'm supposed to be. I started where I was supposed to be. I have done enough foundational work in other areas that where I'm at right now is the right thing, because all those experiences and my expertise expertises are coming together to do what I'm capable of doing right now. So my thing is, I can show you better than I can tell you.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's what I have to say for that right
That's
there.
great. So I'm going to come from a little bit of a different perspective, in the sense that I don't necessarily had a dream of something that I wanted to do. I think was just living and taking day by day because that's just how I guess we grew up. We didn't grow up in my culture, I should say, where you're given a dream to pursue. The what you would be pursuing as a woman, a female, was to be a wife and mother. And in my culture, as far as the area that I grew up in and the people that I was surrounded by, I'm not going to make a blanket statement. But anybody that agrees with me and that's watching and listening, please co-sign or not if you want to. But when I came to realize that, okay, what do you want to do? What are you gonna do? Um, I'm a person that learns. I'm open to always learning new things and experiencing, you know, what's available for me if I can and if I want to, and I take advantage of all of those things. Um, Doing the acting and the modeling and all of those ideas came to me when I was in my 20s, I think, and I tried to pursue those, but now that I'm in my 50s, will be 59 in January. In my culture, me starting anything new, and again, if anybody's out there watching and you disagree, feel free. But from what I learned is that at my age, there's certain things that I'm doing that you wouldn't do, like starting your business or driving myself to wherever I need to go, or just basically being independent. It's not something that you know people would agree with in my culture. So they would look at me and like, well, you're too old to do that. Like, for example, someone told me that I was too old to watch cartoons or watch Disney movies. Why? I love them. It's entertaining. I watch it. So, but in the culture, in the Caribbean, Latino American culture, you're too old for these things. You're too old for certain things. At this age, you're supposed to do this. At this age, you're supposed to do that. And I kind of break all of those molds. And that's what it is. And to one degree, it's not that I purposely wanted to do that. It's just that I wanted to be married and have kids. That didn't happen. So what was I supposed to do? Just sit around and wilt away? No. I've learned a lot of things. So I started putting those things into practice. They came in handy. Like Netta said, God prepared me because all of the experiences I had working as an admin, um, doing pageants, doing modeling, all of those skills that I acquired with those experiences, I can still use them and I do use them. So I would encourage anyone out there that is my age or older, it's never too late to start something. Even if you've been married or you have kids and the kids have left, now what? You dedicated your entire life to your husband and your children. I hope you've been, doing some other things. I can't speak for married women, but as a single woman, um, this is what I decided to do. It's not too late. Never too late.
Holy. You're muted, Theo. And can I say something real quick though to what Shayla just said? It's not only your culture. We have
Mhm.
conditioned as women that if you're not a certain this or a certain that or a certain at a certain age, it's over for you. And I believe your culture though has differences
Mhm.
about, but I believe across the board, just as mostly for women, because men start stuff whenever, and nobody ever tells them they're too old. They running for president at 89. We got. I'm not knocking nobody right now. I'm just saying. But the thought that they do those things at 65, 70,
Mhm.
you know, it's no limits on them, and it's not because of them. And I know, Theo, that's your theme for this year, no limits. We gotta be no limit soldiers. Like, ain't no limits on us except the limits that we put on ourselves. Like Shayla with her modeling, Shayla with her singing. We see you. We see you now because you've decided that I'm gonna do this. So again, what you saying, like the world, your culture puts limits. I think we as women have been programmed, and we have to unlearn some things about our age. Because again, I put up a post a few months back that women were like, "Oh, he took the best years of my life," and I'm like, my 20s and my 30s, and even to 40 was not the best years of my life. 50, baby, knowing some stuff and being wise and saying no to folks, I'm going into the best years of my life. Them other years, I didn't know how to be nobody mama. I didn't know how to be nobody wife. I went through a failed marriage. Those was not my best years. So somebody couldn't take something away from me that it wasn't even that. So it's not too late because it's now.
But it's interesting, and Regina, I know you probably want to come in as well, but it's interesting because, like Trey said, right, it really is not a cultural thing. I think it's a society thing because they put these, by this age, you're supposed to be married, you're supposed to have children, right? You're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. And somehow in your mind, you're like, if I didn't do it by this time, then I'm not supposed to do it.
Okay, well, I started my business. Well, I started working on it years ago. Because as far as I can remember, even when I was in high school, I always did things with business. I wrote plans and things, not really knowing. When I was in my 20s, I went out and got a tax ID. Um, I did different ventures, but like in your 20s and 30s, you start things and you don't finish them. So I always was in different businesses or in stop things, but I started at the appointed time. So the appointed time was when I started, and that was the time that I was supposed to start. So no matter what time it was, so I was supposed to start at this time. So that's why I started because I learned from all the other things that I did. I incorporated like like Gina said and Shayla said, all of us said, we learn from our mistakes, and this is the time that I was supposed to start, and it's never too late. That's when I started because it was the appointed time to start.
Can I share a statistic? I just pulled up an article, and according to Small Biz Trends statistics for 2021, people between the ages of 50 and 59 are at the top of the startup founders list with 35%.
Wow.
That's one statistic. And then, we got to go to when others who are successful have started. So KFC, Colonel Sanders, 65.
Right.
Steve Jobs, 52. Bill Porter, who founded E-Trade, 54. Let me see. I don't know who Charles Flint is, but it says computing, tabulating, recording company started at 61. So what's too late? It's too late when you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Start where you are because, life's experiences bring us to the place and we're able to share from an authentic place. We've decided at this point, we don't need to be a copy and paste. We are unique. We are authentic. We are uniquely created. So we have something unique to offer. So once you arrive at that place, you serve from that place.
Ooh.
Yep.
Wow.
And
So
one thing that Netta mentioned, did you notice that there were no women? So we can be the first women to top that. Hey.
you took my thought out.
Samuel Jackson got his break in Jungle Fever. He was 43.
Yeah.
White was 51.
what she got?
As an actress, like I'm 53. She was 50. So you don't know, like you can Shayla commercials.
Right. Well, let's not forget the lady in not what but Black Panther. I'm not sure if she's still alive, but she played one of the elders, and I
Right.
don't remember her name, but I think that was her first movie.
Yes.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
let's think about Taraji B. Henson, right? Have you ever heard her story? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in,
Absolutely.
because in Hollywood, right, they make
Mhm.
you old before you really old, right?
Right.
Right,
Right.
Right.
right,
And so you remember her story was like when she decided that she was gonna go, right? And she was probably in her 30s, right? And they were like, oh, I mean, she went to Hollywood when she was younger,
right,
when she really started like auditioning and doing stuff, right? People were like, oh, you're not gonna be able to break into this industry, right? And look at her now.
right.
And so I think also, I forget who said it, is we sometimes let other people define, right, what we're supposed to be doing. But then also I think we get caught up in that space of where we were. Like for me, I ended up in a career that I was very successful in, right? And then I forgot that I forgot that I had a dream.
Mm.
Wow.
Woo.
And it's so funny because when I remember when I started my coaching business and then was gonna and started my HR consultant business, I remember one of my friends that I worked with, and I was saying to him, yeah, I'm gonna be doing XYZ. And he said, I remember when you told me that you wanted to start your own business. And I said to him, you know what's crazy? I don't remember telling you that I wanted to start my own business because I had forgot
Wow.
about my dream because I got distracted, right, by a career that I was successful in. And then other people kept saying, oh my God, you're so great at this. And, so you think you're supposed to keep doing that thing,
Mm.
right?
Wow.
And then you end up saying, wait a minute, I'm doing this thing, but am I really enjoying this thing? Is this the thing that I'm really passionate about? Like I'm good at it. I love it. But I began to realize that at one point I started going through the motions.
Woo. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Let me say something about that. That was Theo. Oh, that was so good because we do get stuck in again, everything that's good ain't good. Just because it's a good distraction, because you're making a lot of money, because you have a lot of followers, or whatever
Mhm.
that thing may be that's keeping you from your passion and your purpose, it could be something good. So I'm glad you pointed that out because that just opened my eyes because we get comfortable and we say, well, I'm making six figures over here. And again, a lot of people are making six figures who are miserable. A lot
Mhm.
of people are making six figures who don't want to get out the bed in the morning. A lot of people are making six figures who are not even enjoying spending the money because they don't have a spouse. You understand? So we get
Mhm. Right.
choice in everything. And again, even with those of us who wanted to be mothers or married and it didn't happen, I don't believe nothing is impossible. I'm not saying that you may give birth, but there's adoption. A family member may lose their life and not be able to raise that child. So don't count out the fact that you're gonna be somebody mama. And please, none of us single ladies on here,
Mhm.
ain't none of us counting out the fact that we're gonna be somebody wife. Cause hell, honey, I'm 53 and I'm sorry, all my parts still work. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm waiting on Jesus right now so I can make sure they still work. But again, there's different ways and different avenues that God is gonna send what He called us to do. And again, the Bible says God will give you the desires of your heart. You desire to be a mother. I raised my niece with my sister, but I had my niece for the most part because the dynamic of our family. But I was her mother from the time I was 15, and she's 38 now. And the love that she got from me and the love she gets from her mom. But I didn't know I was gonna be a mother at 16, helping my sister because my sister had her young. I didn't know I was gonna help raise my niece. Like, even if I never had my boys, I was a mother already. And she has two daughters. They call me Nani, which is Nana and Auntie combined together because I'm not their grandmother. But I don't, people say you have grandkids. I do already have grandkids. They're not my biological grandkids from my sons. But again, those are my grandkids. And I say to myself, I'm never not going to call them my grandkids because that's the way God designed me to have grandkids. So any woman out there who is 50, 55, 60, 45, who desires to be a mother, baby, when God delivered that baby in a different way, you're going to be like, oh my goodness. And that child calls you mommy or auntie or whatever that special name is. It's not always a mother the way we imagine being a mother or that thing, imagine being that thing. And a lot of us too, this is the last thing I'm going to say. We out here single because we looking for a package and he ain't packaged that way. You understand what I'm saying? Your
Mhm.
husband is next door and you looking all over the planet and he right there because the packaging. Do y'all get y'all hear me? Because the packaging don't because I want 6'6" with muscles and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
You got a dude that's 6'1" with a decent body, and you so stuck on what you thought
Mhm.
want to deliver. So once we open up our minds and let go, because again, like I said, for my single ladies 50 and over, it ain't, y'all better not think y'all. I curse you. You say it's too late.
No.
But I think also to the point you're making, right, is you really do have to shift your mindset, right? Because what you were looking for at 20,
Woo!
you wouldn't be looking for at 40 or 50 or 60, right?
Hallelujah.
So it's different. You know, I mean, I had this conversation with my cousin, you know, me and my male cousin, we always have these conversations. And I'm like, you know, when I was in my 20s, I'm not dating no dudes with kids because I don't have kids. When I was in my 30s, I was like, I'm not dating no dudes with kids. But when I started hitting 40 and 50, I'm like, the dudes I'm meeting, they're gonna have some children. So I had to change my criteria, right? It then became they can't have kids, they can't have like a boatload of kids, right?
Or
Like,
toddler. Or toddler.
I'm not trying to date somebody that got like 3 or 4 baby mamas, right? You know, and you know, and it also came down to also, right? I would prefer that they don't have toddlers, right? But their kids are a certain age, right? But you have to get to that point where you're like, how do I change the criteria, right? But I think that also speaks to when you're going after your dream, right? So my next question would be is at what are some of the things or thoughts that you had to let go of in order for you to birth, right? That thing that you want to do, or you wanted to do.
I'll go. It being an entrepreneur is not a straight shot.
No.
It's so many, you get the highs and lows. Sometimes you may even put something on pause because you're trying to figure out a different way of going about it. But if you're committed to what you know that's inside of you that has to come out, and the only way that it's going to come out is that if you do it the way that you are uniquely designed to deliver your content, um, whether it's a service, whether it's a thing that you do, trainings that you offer, a book that you can write, whatever it is that you do, and you have all this experience and knowledge, and you know that by you providing this particular service, you're going to impact and bless other people. You have to be willing and committed to going through the process of being better than you are when you first started out,
Woo.
Mm.
and not giving up because it doesn't look like you thought it would because of what someone else said.
Mm.
So so I've learned that I'm serious about this thing because it's been something I've wanted to do since my oldest daughter was maybe 3 or 4 years old. And I didn't have the courage
Mm.
to really step out the way I wanted to because I would listen to people around me, and sometimes we really, y'all, I just have to emphasize this. We're in our 50s. There are statistics out there that show that we are actually in the prime of our intellectual growth and development and what we're able to bring to the table, to the marketplace. So don't let anybody tell you that it's too late.
Mm.
And you really have to be careful who you surround yourself with when you are at the beginning of your process, because
Ooh.
they that's like they can abort your baby because you done told, you done said it, and they keep putting negativity in there. Well, you this, you that, you tried it already, you gave it a good shot. Now you can move on and do the regular stuff.
Mm.
Who told you supposed to be regular?
Whoa.
Wow. All right now.
Uh,
But
I,
but I want to piggyback.
I went out to somebody this weekend. They have an event space and they want me to come on board because they do a women's empowerment thing. And I so appreciate Garrett for inviting me to come through to see how I can lend a hand. There was a woman there that was speaking and empowering a woman. And the one thing she said that just really hit me with Gina was she said the easiest way to destroy your thing, because she was saying be careful who you talk about your ideas to. And she said the easiest way, the best time to destroy your thing is in seed form. And Gina just took me back to that just now. That somebody can abort it if it's in the early stages. It's not ready. So we got to watch when we seeding who we tell, because it's easy to kill a seed.
Yeah. You definitely have to be careful. Like, and that's me, right? Like I will do something and then after the fact, right? Tell, like, I don't, because I learned a long time ago, right? You cannot, sometimes it's me and God. It's me and God. Me and God, right? And the people that need to know that I know, because people like to give you unsolicited opinions.
Woo.
Right. And so the way to get away from those unsolicited opinions, right, is to keep it to yourself. But I did want to say, like, I read something exactly like what Gina said. It says our brain still has an astonishing ability to learn and master many new skills, whatever your age.
Wow.
So why would we not, right, think we could get started now?
That's so good.
And for me, right, I will say, I think my business and what I'm doing was birthed out of, my purpose was birthed out of pain, right? And I don't think how many people don't realize, whether it's like Netta said, you lose a job, right, that you wasn't ready to lose, but it happens, right? For some people, that creates pain, right? The loss of a relationship, right? For the woman who ends up, her marriage ends and she wasn't expecting it, right? Now she got to figure out what's next, right? And so for me, it was going through this point of realizing that in a state of depression, that I'm not really happy. It's not just because of what this thing that just happened to me, right? That was just the pinnacle that made me look at my life and what I was doing.
Ooh.
Right. And so I think sometimes we just have to sit back and think about, and one of the questions I ask my clients, most of my clients are, if I were to say, take away your title of mother, of sister, of friend, of executive, right, of daughter, right? Who are you at your core? Can you literally say you know who you are?
Ooh. That's a whole lesson right there. That's a whole entire lesson. One of the things I did have to let go of from the question that you asked earlier is I had to let go of the fact that because I don't have a degree, well, I always doubted up until probably 3 years ago, just hearing people talk about, I got a master's in this, and by no means am I knocking anybody that got a master's degree. I respect that to the highest level. However, people like me who don't have degrees, who just have a high school diploma, and I shouldn't say just, because it takes, you have to work to get that too, but people who have a high school diploma who did not further their education, we have to realize our gifts and our talents come from a different source. You know what I'm saying? I tell you what, I know some smart scholars that ain't got a bit of common sense, and I say that because I can help them because I'm street smart. I got common sense, right? I'm a person that I'll go do it, right? When a scholar or a person who's dotting the I's and crossing the T's will still be on the bench, I'll be ready to win me a ring. So I had to realize about myself that a degree does not define who I am. And it took me so many years because I've been around so many women who are highly educated, but they respected me. And for so long, for me, I couldn't figure out what they saw in me. Or, you know, they would say stuff to me, or they would ask me questions, or they would bring me on their team. And I'm like, you got a master's degree, or you know what I'm saying, or you got an associate's, or you got a bachelor's. Why are they asking me? And I would not share my opinion in a lot of rooms when they invited me to the table. And I had to learn that they invited you to the table for a reason. You gonna sit here like a deaf mute? You gonna sit here and not say nothing because I didn't feel equipped, I didn't feel smart, I didn't feel educated enough. So that's one thing, Thea, when you asked, what did I have to let go of to go to my next level? And it was the fact that I thought that I wasn't smart enough.
And I'm so glad you said that, because there are so many people that think I need a master's, I need a PhD, I need whatever. And honestly, I have a master's, right? But I will say it's a piece of paper, and I'm not discounting anybody that went to school to have it, but I had already started advancing in my career before I decided to go back, right, to get my master's, because like you, my just comments, most people who have degrees don't have comments. I'm whispering that because I don't want to offend anybody. But, you know, most people that have these higher degrees, they are very good at studying and reading books and taking exams, right? But I could sit in a room with someone and process something in my mind like this and tell you what the solution could be.
Right.
Right? I didn't learn that in school.
School is not for and I just have to say this to anybody who's listening. School is not for everybody. School wasn't for me. My niece, she has her master's. She's talking about going back to school, Jade. And I'm like, back to school for what? But she loves learning. Like that is her thing. And it's just not mine. So I'm like, girl, she's like, I gotta get my PhD. I'm gonna be doctor. And I'm like, and then what? Like, but a master's degree and a PhD, all of those things, some people need them for their career and the advancement of their career. However, the people who are creatives like myself, who are, you know, innovators in different areas, I just need people to understand, don't discount yourself because you're not a person who thrives in school. You may be need tech, you might go to computer school because you're techie. You understand what I'm saying? Or you might have a trade. You might be a plumber or electrician. And we have to learn to love ourselves for who we are, and not, again, Theo talked about a little bit about this last night, comparison.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and think about that, right? How many of us held ourselves back because we were comparing ourselves to somebody else? You just said it, right? You were comparing yourself to other individuals who had degrees, right?
Yep.
I'll say that you guys talking about education and degree and all that. Well, when I had told my dad that I wanted to be a model, and he's like, you need a backup plan. And my backup plan was going to at that time secretarial school. So I learned to, you know, shorthand and typing and all that. Now, the testing part was always my Achilles heel, especially the typing test. I could type up to 65 words a minute, but when it came time to take that test, it was awful, to the point that I almost did not get my associate's degree because because you have to complete 3 timing tests. And I failed at the testing, but didn't mean that I couldn't type 65 words a minute. Ooh. But the testing part was what I was not very good at. So, you know, I heard on the news they were talking about, you know, some type of test that the kids have to take to, you know, figure out if they're retaining the information, and they're thinking about redirecting that, because not all these students have been able to pass these tests, but it doesn't mean that they have not been able to capture the information and retain the information. So yeah, I just want to say that.
I wanted to share, Trey, you mentioned stopping after getting your high school diploma, but you never stopped learning.
Right. Mm.
That's the difference. You know, some people learn in an institution, some people learn just because that's who they are. And in regards to the whole comparison thing, you all know that I'm a coach in regards to using Gallup Strengths to highlight the uniqueness of each of us. God created each of us individually. There is not another person on this earth who is created like you are. There's not another person on this earth who can do what God placed in you to do. And if you don't do it, the world is left without that gift. So walk in that. And I always say, as far as comparison is concerned, there's only one you. So when you try to mimic and copy, you're sloppy second.
Woo!
There's no point. Be who you are. Walk in the gifts that God placed in you. That's where your greatness lies. He trusted you with those gifts. Use them and run them past him first, though. You're talking about all these plans and everything. I would just suggest, if you are a believer in Christ like I am, run them through the filter of his word and his plan, because that's going to work best.
But I mean, I think it's so great because the reality is, you know, Trey, you have learned so much from your life journey.
Yes.
Right? That it has allowed you to feed into other people, right? And we are an example of that, right? I don't know that I would have even thought about, because you were the one that says, "Oh, you're gonna write a book," and I was like, "Come on, like, you know, she don't just stop, right?" And and what happened, right? I ended up becoming a published author.
Yes.
Right. And so I think, you know, your life journey, and I would say for all of us, right? There is something in our lives, whether it's recent or in the past, that has motivated us to say, I don't need to give up. Right. Because here's the thing, right? If you like what happens if you haven't achieved it yet, right? What do you have to lose?
Right. That part.
You're still breathing. You still have life. You can still achieve it. Yep.
Right. But like, so that's the thing, right? If you haven't achieved it yet, you don't know what you haven't achieved. So what do you have to lose?
Right. Just do it. Like, again, for real. Like, anybody that's listening tonight who thinks it's too late or who is hesitant, just do it. Just almost cuss. Just do it. Just get up tomorrow and do one thing. I'm not saying go out. I ain't telling nobody to quit their job, because can't nobody come live with me. I ain't telling nobody to do nothing crazy like that. I'm just saying your job, like Gina said, is your investor. When you get that check, you get to invest in your dream, your hope, whether it's writing that book, whether it is going to baking school, whatever it is on the weekends, right, that you can do for your passion and your purpose. Just do it. Like, write the book. And it doesn't, see, we get caught up again in that comparison. My book is not like Theo's book. Theo's book is not like Oprah's book. Everybody's book. If we start looking at people's books and say she got 27 chapters, no, my book is supposed to have 12 chapters, or it's supposed to be a pamphlet. So maybe your book that you are talking yourself out of, it's supposed to be a pamphlet or an ebook. It's not supposed to be a novel. It's not supposed to be 742 pages. It's supposed to be 12 pages and a journal in the back. You understand what? Like, just whatever it is, do it. You was getting ready to say something, Regina?
I was just saying, yeah, just do it. Like when I first started my business, and I thought it was a t-shirt, which it was. And I went out, didn't know, got it, got it made. Went to this women's conference, and I didn't know I had to speak. I was like, oh my God. she's like, she's like, I want all of the vendors to give, and I never heard this before. She's like, I want you to come and give like 5 minutes about your business. I'm like, we just can't stand back here and sell.
No.
So totally out of my comfort zone, because you guys can tell I'm the one that kind of just don't talk a lot. So I went up and gave my spiel. Everyone else went up and gave my spiel. As soon as I told my story about Seasoned and Fabulous, all the women flocked to my table.
Wow.
Because they looked at it and they thought it was something totally different. But when I told them the story behind it, they were like, oh my God, we thought it was just like kind of like a seasoned person. Like, no, that's not what it means. And when I told them.
So tell us the story behind it.
Well, the Seasoned and Fabulous means that it's basically your beginning, because it is for women of 50 plus. However, just because you're 50 plus, it doesn't mean that you're old. It's you've just begun. You can do anything that you want to do. So that's where it starts from, because we raised our kids, we've gone to school, we've taken care of everybody. We've been caretakers, we worked, we've been employers, we've just been everything. We've always put ourselves on a back burner. Now it's time for us to shine. It's time for us to take care of ourselves. It's time for us to birth our dreams. It's time for us to do whatever we want to do. And it's no regrets. And it's time for us to take care of ourselves. So now that t-shirt business has turned into a self-care, loving ourselves, taking care of ourselves. And it's just begun. It's joy, it's happiness, it's loving, it's saying that no, it's really about you lovingly taking care of myself. That's what it's about.
Woo! Because we are seasoned
And fabulous.
Fabulous. Oh, there was one thing that I forgot to mention in our meetup, and I guess I can mention it now because it applies. And I've been talking about modeling and all of that. I have been checking on auditions. I haven't gone on any, but I've been checking on them. I also signed up or send in my information to, I think, at least 4 agencies that for lifestyle modeling. If I can't do the runway, which is really what I would want to do, that was what I thought I would be able to do, but I'm not tall enough for that yet. It doesn't stop me from still applying, still trying, because you never know. You never know what can happen. So I sent out my information to, I think, at least 4 agencies, and I'm waiting to hear a response, and we'll see what happens.
Wow.
That's awesome. Just know it.
Let me tell you, I have a 94-year-old aunt who still bowls in a league.
Wow.
Like bowls in a league, like seriously, like bowls, and to the point where her schedule revolves around her bowling, because that's important to her, right? So it'd be like, can you come up? Even when I moved down here and we talked, she was like, well, I'll come visit you, but it has to be when it's not bowling season. I said, okay. Right. Right. But I say that to say, like, she's been doing that all her life. That's what she's passionate about. And she still does it, because just because she's 94, as long as she's in her body and she can throw a ball down the lane, she still bowls, right? And so for me, that's inspiration for me.
Yes.
So, like, it would. I mean, I know what has held me back is because I like, I'm comfortable in the background. Y'all know that, right? Like, if you let me stay behind, I will tell you what to do. I will tell you how to do it. I will plan it. I will make it happen. But I don't need the accolades. And I think the one thing for me was getting out of my comfort zone. That's what I had to let go of, right? I had to let go of my comfort zone and step up.
Yes.
Right? And say, you can't, little girl, you can't. You got to come up front, little girl. You can't sit back here, right? And so, so we have about 4 minutes.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Time went fast. And so I'm gonna end. Let's end the way we normally end with what is the one thing that you would share with our audience tonight?
I'll
I'll
start.
go. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'll,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Okay. So since it's see my theme has been modeling this evening, what I would want to say is when people think about models, they always think about the women that are on the magazines and the glamorous ones and the supermodels and stuff. No, modeling ranges, and especially in this day and age, it ranges in sizes, heights, all types. So you can do all kinds of modeling. So if you're out there and modeling is something that you've thought of and didn't think that you qualify because you're not tall enough or you're not skinny enough or any of that kind of stuff, the mold has changed. So throw yourself out there. If this is something that you want to do, throw yourself out there, look up the agencies, make sure they're legitimate, and send your photos. They don't have to be professional. They sometimes can be just your selfies from your phone. So don't limit yourself thinking that there's just one type of modeling. No, there's several types. You can model in different ways. You could be a lifestyle model. You could be a catalog model. When you open up your catalogs, what kind of people do you see? So don't limit yourself, and just throw yourself out there.
Mm.
You could be a hand model.
yes,
Physical fitness, all kinds.
absolutely. I was going to share the only limits that you experience in life are the ones you create for yourself.
Mm.
Mhm.
So be mindful of that. And there's also the statement that whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right.
Mm.
So it's about mindset.
Mm.
Joyce Myers wrote a book a long time, The Battlefield of the Mind,
Mm.
and it speaks to the challenges that we have to overcome the negative Nellies in our mind, right? It could be a combination of experiences we've had, what people said, or something from our childhood or what have you. But the thing I do know is that if you have something, whether it's a business or it could be your job, it could be your career, you want to move up and you want to, reposition yourself for that move. If you are passionate and you know you're willing to put your all into it, and it's something by you being in that position, not only is it a benefit to you, but you know that you're serving a particular need, in the way that you deliver that particular service makes a difference to the people that you provide that service to, then you continually have to replenish yourself with positive input, with insightful people that are on the same lane that you're in. They're about progress, right? If you don't want to stay stuck, or sometimes you feel like you're in that space where you're trying to figure it out, you want to look at someone else that's trying to figure it out.
Mm.
Don't look at someone else that's already, they already got the spade game going, because they don't threw their hands up and said, well, this ain't work, so let's go play some cards.
Mm.
You have to be committed to what you want and what you know you offer. I say often that you have to take it to the Father. There's a word for you in the Bible. There's something that will help you, guide you. There's strategies in the Bible.
Mm.
The Proverbs 31 woman, she had a strategy for all those businesses she had. You are capable. We each are capable of doing the things that we are gifted and given to do. And just think about this. You have been uniquely positioned to do the thing that you were created to do.
Mm.
You don't
Mm.
want to take that to the grave, because no one can benefit from it there. When
Mm.
I die and I say the D word, because somebody say, oh, she passed, she moved on. But when I die, my prayer is that I have given it all out and there's nothing else left.
Mhm.
Ooh, yes.
Okay.
I always say it, die empty.
Die
Jean.
empty.
Well, I was going to say something to that extent. I was going to say, well, I'm going to say, dang, now I forgot. You will you will give the world a disservice if you do not
Mm,
show your gifts or give your gifts,
mm.
because the world needs your gifts and God gave you your gifts. So don't give up, don't leave without giving your gifts. Basically the same thing that Gina said,
Mm.
because we need your gifts. And don't be afraid.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm gonna say these, this is for my older, seasoned, and fabulous women. These are the best years of your life right now. This is while you're on stage right now. This is your highlight moment. Just do it. Do not be scared to do what it is that you feel in your heart and in your spirit that you are supposed to do. We are in a world right now where everybody has a platform. It is not restricted to anybody, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever it is. Whether you do a 1 second video, a 5 second video, or an hour video, you have a platform and a voice. So these right now, to my sisters and brothers that are listening, who are of a certain age, who somebody or you feel like because society says you missed the best years of your life, I have to reiterate this again. These are the best years of your life. And guess what? The more you understand that, the more you move forward, the better it gets. So use your voice and use these platforms to share your information, to grow your business, ministry, brand, purpose, whatever it is. You have a platform just like we have one right here. And I love these ladies. And I'm just going to say again, make it happen. Just do it.
And so I will say that you probably all have said what I would have said, but the one thing I would say is don't give up on yourself. Right? Like, so many of us give up on ourselves. We convince ourselves that we can't do it. And so, like Netta said, mindset matters, right? And the biggest thing I would want anybody to think about is what I said earlier, right? If you haven't achieved it, how do you know that you're going to lose it or you can't do it?
Mm,
You won't know unless you try,
mm.
right? And so I think everybody said something, and like Gina said, right? We're not necessarily saying be an entrepreneur, right? Not everybody wants to do that, but whatever your dream is, like I really challenge people to sit back and think about when you were a child, right? When you thought, I'm a princess.
Mm.
Made your mother go out and buy you the crown and the dress, and you walked around like you were a princess. You said you were a princess, and you got all the stuff that made you a princess, and you walked around telling people, I'm a princess, right?
Woo!
Go back to that young person that had all the dreams and believed anything. Our children, look, if you have children, look at your children. Don't minimize their dreams. Look at your children and how much they believe they could do whatever it is that they decide they want to do.
Mm.
And go back into that space when you dreamed that you could do anything you wanted, when you believed you could do anything you wanted, and apply that to your now.
Woo!
And go do it.
Drop the mic.
We so do it. So we're a little bit over, but this was a good conversation, I think. And as I said, my word for next year is no limits. So I'm taking the limits off, right? I'm truly letting God do what He does, and I'm taking Him out of a box, and I'm coming out of the box with Him. And I hope everybody that's listening to us does the same thing. Think about what you are going to be doing in 2023. And, we thank you for joining us. We will be back again on next Monday at 8 p.m. And as we all will say to you, truth plus transparency equals healing. Go and be great. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.